This is a 2024 BMW i4 eDrive 35, 19-inch in parentheses. That's what the sticker says on it. The color is Dravit Gray Metallic, and it's a $1,500 option, and this also has the M Sport package with the extended shadow line trim, meaning it just blacks out a lot more of the logos and gives it a really sporty look. So this is BMW's entry-level Grand Coupe, it's called. It's a Grand Coupe because it was originally a coupe as the 4 Series, then they called it a coupe and added a rear door. I don't know how the car industry got away with that, but it's the biggest scam of the century. Also, we have a entry-level Tesla Model 3, and today I'm going to be comparing both of these, showing you what the BMW does way better than Tesla and what Tesla does way better than BMW, including a sound test between both of them. You have a luxury car here, and you have a I don't even know what to call it. If I call it a luxury car, I get in trouble. If I call it an entry-level car, I get in trouble. So I'm not gonna say anything because that's what the government wants me to do. So we'll start with an exterior walk around of the BMW. No point of even pulling this up. As you've seen in the Genesis, I've shown you, the Genesis has that little area to put your cell phone. It's kind of a joke. There's just a cover on here like for an engine. There's no storage up front, whereas the Model 3 has great storage up front. Coming around the side, you have these 19-inch M Sport wheels in gloss black, and you also have the red upgraded M Sport calipers. I don't know if these actually come with upgraded brake pads as well, but the calipers are red. If you're buying an i4, I recommend getting it with the upgraded calipers because that's going to be a sought after feature for people buying it third party or whatever. But that's just a nice touch to the car. It adds a lot to the exterior look of it. Also, a big thank you to EV Access for giving me access to this BMW i4 for today. If you want to rent this i4 on Turo or directly from them, I will have it linked in the description. The color is incredible. You have these door handles that are kind of flush to the side of the car. Pulling them open is, I don't know, it's fine. I guess it's okay. I was thinking it felt a little bit cheaper. It really doesn't. The mirror caps are piano black. Again, just really flows with the whole look of the car, and it has the base interior as well. Now, one of my favorite parts of the exterior is the rear diffuser. So normally a BMW would have exhaust pipes here, but what they've done is actually added a diffuser here. It might be functional to a point, but it does look good. I think this is a great alternative for companies like BMW, who always traditionally made gas-powered cars, to actually put functional diffusers. Maybe this increases the efficiency a little bit. I don't totally know, but I think that's a really good look. I absolutely love it. And the quality in this is very apparent. Now, this starts at $52,200. The Model 3 Performance, the most jacked up, loaded up Tesla model, starts at $50,000 right now. This model starts at $38,000 currently, the Model 3 standard range. And that's not with any government or incentives or anything. That's if you just walked in and paid cash and didn't qualify for anything. So a huge value here. And in my opinion, this is where Tesla is turning into the new Toyota. They're gonna have mass manufacturing and building cars that can suit anyone's life. And then companies like BMW and Mercedes will step in and create luxury electric vehicles, which they've been creating luxury cars for many years and doing it better than anyone, and this is no exception. So the question is this worth about $12,000 more than this vehicle? They both get approximately the same range, but we know that Tesla's supercharging network is incredible. The max charging speed on this is 180 kilowatts. The max on this is 170 kilowatts. And if you get a long range model or performance model, that goes up to 250 kilowatts. So they're very comparable in a lot of ways, but let me show you where they're not. And remember, this is called a Grand Coupe, okay? So I have my seating position set for the front seat. Again, I'm 5'12". When we hop into the back here, it's kind of cramped. It's actually not as bad as I expected to say it's really tight, but it's actually not that bad. The other thing though, when I had a car seat last night for my daughter in here, I would have had to have cut about a foot off of my legs to be able to fit properly in the front seat. So if you're gonna have a car seat, and think if you have a kid, that car seat facing backwards going to be needed till they're about 2. So you're going to have to deal with that for 2 years. This probably isn't the car for you if you need to put kids in. If your kids are grown up, they'll be okay because there's actually a decent amount of space. In the seats, you like fall into the back and there's plenty of support around here. As far as amenities go, there's 2 USB-C chargers. It does not have rear heated seats. The Tesla does. And then you just have your standard vents back here. So it's nice, but nothing that special. What's going to be interesting though is when the new Model 3 Highland comes out, it's gonna have a screen in the back, it's gonna have cooled seats up front. That's really gonna up the quality and push these luxury manufacturers even further as far as pricing goes. So that'll be interesting. So that's a look at the back seat. Let's jump over to the Model 3. Okay, so this is a comfortable position for me in the Model 3 on the front seat here. Let's jump to the back. It's actually a lot more similar than I expected. There's slightly more room in the Model 3. I think the BMW has a more comfortable seat, and there's actually more space for your feet in the BMW. So what's nice about the Tesla is this is all flat here. So you can see I can rest my feet here or comfortably sit a third person, whereas in the BMW, there's a little bit of a hump. So that's kind of the differences between these two. The Tesla also has these back pockets where the BMW has the mesh net. So overall, I would say fairly similar back seats. I think the BMW has slightly more amenities just because there's some controls here for the air conditioning or heating. Now, something that's very important currently with electric cars, because there's not as many chargers as there are gas stations, is the charging network. So if I say superchargers, it pulls up all of the high-speed chargers that are currently in the Phoenix Valley. It shows you how fast the chargers are and currently what the rate is. And the rate changes in the chargers based on demand. So it can go up to, I think the highest I've ever seen is 52 cents per kilowatt hour, which is very expensive. You can see right now they're like 29 cents, 30, 31, 24, 31, 33, 21. Fairly cheap rates right now for that fast of charging. More importantly, when I click this one here, for example, and if I hit navigate to it, it's going to precondition the battery to make sure it's at the optimal temperature for battery longevity and for charger performance. The BMW does this as well, but you have to tell it to do it. It has to be going to a charger that's fast enough to do it. There's just little things that Tesla in their software and their battery management system does better than anyone else right now. They're close, they're getting there, and they're gonna have access to the Tesla charging network this year, and then in 2025, they're gonna standardize on the NACS plug, which is what all Teslas come with. So once that's all complete, once 2025 is here and other manufacturers are doing that, then I think the competition will be more balance and people won't feel so stranded and only having Tesla as the most reliable option to buy, because I think a lot of other manufacturers make great electric vehicles, but they're strangled by the awful third-party charging network. Electrify America, EVgo's not bad, but you know, they're just not as reliable as Tesla. I've been to over 350 superchargers all across the country. All I've had to do twice was wait in line for about 10 minutes. One was in Oklahoma City, and the other, Oklahoma City of all places, the other was in Indio, California. But they've since at the Indio and Oklahoma City expanded both of those supercharger areas because they saw it was a bottleneck, and now there's more there and you shouldn't have to wait. So I've never had a charger down. I've never had to wait more than 10 minutes. My charging experiences have all been good, except for if it's a 150 kilowatt charger and there's a bunch of people on it, then it takes a long time for your car to charge. It can take up to like 40 to 50 minutes, depending on how packed it is. That's been my bad experience. Overall, it's been excellent. Now that we're inside the BMW, you can see we have a start-stop button. I think that's kind of silly for electric vehicles. This one is blue because the oceans are blue when you drive your electric vehicle, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and start it up. Makes a little sound effect there for us to know that we're juiced up right now. This screen, iDrive 8, is beautiful. I wasn't sure about it. I was like, oh, I want my dial. So this is a gorgeous screen, and the visibility is excellent when you're driving it. So you have Sport, Comfort, and Eco Pro. This also has the M Sport adaptive suspension. So that's not an air suspension, it's just a valve suspension that changes the damping based on the road surfaces and what drive mode you're in. It's incredibly smooth, as we'll show you. I'm also going to do a sound test in both of the cars to compare the cabin noise. Overall, this is traditional BMW here. You have your dial, you have your park button. This is a button right here that you press, and then the gear shift is right here to press it into gear, reverse, neutral. So onto the screen here, again, if you press this button right here, you can show where all of the chargers are at. So this is like a direct comparison to Tesla. So you can see it says AC charge point 6 kilowatts. That's in the lower part of this parking garage. That's why it's showing that. But for some reason, it comes up showing like just any charger and not the fast chargers. So if you want it to show you the faster chargers, you have to program that. Like, I would bet a lot of salespeople at the dealership don't even know how to do this, and they sell these things. Let's see here. So while we're navigating to chargers, you can see here 6 kilowatts, 6 kilowatt. A lot of people may not know the difference between 6 kilowatt and 350. Like, truly, some may not know that. So this one here you can see is a 350 kilowatt Electrify America charger. So if it works, you'd be able to get max charging speed depending on the state of charge in your BMW. So, you know, you can do it. I just like that the Tesla points you toward your absolute best option right away, whereas this is pointing to like any charger. So within the charger menu, if you do buy one of these, we figured it out. It's refined search up here. And then what you can do is search by relevance or operator, but really what you want to do is refine search by high power charging. So when you click that, that is the high power chargers. Also cool, you can click this and do free charging. So yes, you can filter your results and that'll make finding proper chargers easier. So it's beautiful, but again, the huge part of electric vehicles is being able to charge them. That's everyone's worry. Oh, what do you do when it runs out of battery? It's like, well, you just charge it. But then this could lead to people hating the car because they're at a charger and it says 5 hours until it's done charging. So I think things like that can be improved with the infotainment. Other than that, great sound system. This is very familiar to a lot of people and that's what they want. You have your traditional buttons here you can work off of, and then the display in front of you is perfect. Also nice right here, it gives you your battery percentage, and then on the other side it shows your miles you have left. And this little arrow here is pointing to which side the charge port is. In a gas-powered car, you'd have that, would be a gas tank symbol, and it'd be pointing to which side you can fill up on. So that's a nice feature there. I find the i4 to be highly accurate in terms of your mileage you're getting. If it says 141 miles, I would trust that I can go exactly 141 miles, if not more, in this thing. 67 kilowatt hour battery pack, very efficient. So I really like that about it as well. Even on this sticker, it says 252 mile range, EPA rated. I would bet this is one of the cars that gets more. The Taycan is rated at like 210. It can get 323 in the 4S variant. So there's a bunch of features that I think other brands are doing better than Tesla. Tesla actually just adjusted all of their EPA estimates on their website. That was one of my few complaints with the car. It's like, hey, when I'm driving at highway speeds, I'm getting way, way less than is advertised. And I understand an EPA cycle is 55% highway and 45% city. So I get it shouldn't be totally accurate. I've just never owned a car that is that far off. So that's really been my only complaint, but it looks like they're kind of coming to terms with that and making the proper adjustments, so that's good. So let's take this for the drive, talk about what it's like to drive. We'll then do a sound test comparing between the two, and we'll talk about some of the features this has that it does better than Tesla. As soon as you step in the i4 and start to drive it, this has the M Sport steering wheel. I couldn't decipher if all of them come with this wheel. I'm not totally sure, but it's an excellent feature. It looks great, it's heated, everything is right here in your fingertips that you need, and that's great. It also has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and it works very quickly, so I love that it's wireless. Hyundai and Genesis in particular, for some reason, have wired Apple CarPlay, and that's awful. It needs to be wireless. It looks beautiful on there if that's what you want to use, and you can easily switch between Apple CarPlay and the car's apps. So you can go here at this screen and it integrates various apps like your messages and PlugShare for looking at the chargers that are around the area. So there's a lot of that that's really nice. You also feel a lot less exposed in this. In the Model 3, you feel like you're on top of the wheel. It's like a go-kart. I could see a lot of people being turned off by that. The materials are much nicer than this. It feels like a more solid, secure car, even though that's not the case. The Model 3 is a very safe car to be in. This just has a tighter feel to it. The build quality is better. The acoustics in here are excellent. We have a sunroof here that opens up fully. I didn't point that out earlier. It's what BMW is really good at. And BMW was making the i3. I don't know when the i3 came out, and also the i8. They've been making electric cars when it wasn't so popular. So I kind of look to companies like that, BMW in particular, that's been doing it for a while, and they definitely have advantages over companies like Ford and maybe even Mercedes in terms of electric vehicles. I like that they were doing it before it was so popular by Tesla. The 0 to 60 time on this is 6 seconds, so it's not that quick. Entry-level Model 3 is 5.8, and the Model 3 long range quickly jumps up to 4.2, and then the Model 3 performance is 3.1, so you get to supercar speed very quickly. It's just nice and familiar to drive this. Like, there's no surprises here. BMW knows how to make a luxury vehicle. They haven't skimped out on anything. I just really enjoy being in this thing, and I want this to be the direction that Tesla goes. Now, when Tesla comes in with the Highland Model 3, which is coming, it's out all around the world, it's not out in the US for some reason, and then the Juniper project, which is the upgrades for the Model Y, once that is all released, then it's like, okay, Tesla is much closer now to a luxury vehicle and can charge those higher prices. But right now, their age is starting to show in the Model 3 and kind of in the Model Y as well. And this is just an example of that. I just love how comfortable it is in this. The suspension is so good. So if I go into sport mode here, you can see how everything changes up, the displays, and I can change the steering. I can change the damping. You can configure that in configure individual. And then right up here, it gives me this nice performance display. And you can hear the sound that it makes. But you can see it's not like crazy fast or anything. It gives me my speed over here, and then if I click this button, I'm able to customize the display to get a map in the middle or music or whatever. And it also has a heads-up display. Heads-up displays, in my opinion, are overrated. I find myself being distracted by them more than anything, so I generally turn that off, but it does have that feature which a lot of people like for whatever reason, so that's fine. The drive modes actually do not change the displayed range on the vehicle. What does change the range though is when you turn on your air conditioning or heat. So I have 128 miles of range. When I turn it up to full blast here, it jumps down to 125 miles of range. So it will make an adjustment for the air conditioning, but it does not make an adjustment for the drive modes, which I find is interesting. So I just turned it off and it went up to 137 miles of range. So it does adjust for that, which I find interesting. Now it does also have cruise control. Every Tesla comes with autopilot. So the cruise control in here works fine, and it does have lane keep assist. What I find interesting about this car, and this isn't a good thing, is it's darty. I find myself constantly trying to keep it in the lane. I don't know if that's because it has the lane keep assist on, or if it's just because that's how the car is. I really don't know. So I find myself constantly trying to center it in the lane. So that's one thing that I don't like. The other thing is Teslas have Sentry mode built in. So there are cameras all around the car that you can remotely access to see what's going on around your vehicle. And it has dog mode, so I can check the camera inside the car to see how my dog is doing, and I can see the temperature in the cabin of the car to make sure they're cool. Now, I don't really take my dog anywhere, but if you're in a pinch, and I also see a lot of sick people out there driving with their dogs in their laps and all that stuff, you gotta stop. Put the dog in the back seat. It has separation anxiety because you create no borders between you and the dog. You morph into the dog. You people need help. And I love my dog. I love him, but we got to create borders, okay? But yeah, I mean, I'm cruising at 83 right now, and you could be going 103, and you wouldn't feel it in this thing. I mean, it's that solid and well put together. The suspension is very well tuned, and the acoustics and sound deadening in the car is excellent. So now what we need to test is what is the cabin noise between the two of these. So we are going to go on the same section of brand new road and see what the max is, and then also see what kind of the average is using this device that I have. I got this decibel meter from the Guitar Center, so we'll be able to check that out and bring you true science, because that's what we're about. All right, so we're going about 50 miles per hour on a B road. So like 52 to 55 decibels on there. So we'll compare that to the Model 3. Now we're gonna go onto the highway and see what that's like. 70 miles per hour on the highway. This is a perfectly paved road. Here we go. Yeah, so I mean, we're looking right at about 50 decibels. That's kind of where the BMW sits, and it feels excellent. Like, I mean, it's just every bump you hit, every big thing you brace for that you do in a Tesla, you don't do that in this. It just eats it up. So now let's just test and see what the Tesla's like. Also, the Tesla does have the double pane glass, so it has the upgrades, increased sound deadening, as opposed to the earlier ones that didn't. So let's see how it does. All right, so we're going 50. Here's the Model 3. So as you can see there, significantly higher. It looks like we were 52 to 55 on the BMW, and in this we were looking at 55 to 60 in the Model 3. And also, and some of you audiophiles can let me know in the comments, but my understanding is that decibels are not linear, so 1 to 3 is not the same as 1 to 5. Someone can explain that better in a comment and I'll pin it. But let's go into the highway. The highway was actually quieter in the BMW. I'm sure it'll be the same in this because the surface is really nice. So let's go onto the highway at 70 and see what the decibels are in the Model 3. So at 70, there's an i4 right there. It looks, I love that rear diffuser. That's an i440. Love it, sir. Ma'am, sorry, it's a ma'am. But yeah, so we're looking at about, on average, 5 decibels higher in the Model 3 compared to the BMW. So it's significant. You can absolutely hear it. There's just more wind noise in these areas right here. But overall, the Model 3 is a better daily driver, simply because of the fact that your return on investment happens quicker. You're spending a lot less per mile because this costs less. But if you don't care, you know, I talk about cost a lot and maintenance, but to people who make a lot of money, they don't care what the maintenance is. They just want the nicest experience possible. So to some people, to talk about saving money is ridiculous, and they just want to drive the nicest thing possible. And the BMW is a nicer car, but it costs more. It starts at the point where the Tesla leaves off and fills in that gap. So the Model 3 is excellent for what it is. It is still the standard in electric sedans, but the BMW has done a really nice job on it. I love how the luxury that BMW has always had carries over into that vehicle, but it's an electric car and you benefit from the efficiency of it, and there's no maintenance to it. The other thing that should be talked about is the warranty. On this, it's 8 years, 100,000 miles for the battery. That's what everyone's concerned about. So you're protected for that amount of time. And despite it being a 6-second 0 to 60 time, you actually get, you get the benefit, the immediate torque of the electric motors. So, if I floor it right now, and I'm in eco mode, but still has a hit to it. And I don't know if you guys feel like this, but if I floor a gas-powered car, I'm always like, I can't do that too much. I don't get that same feeling in an electric vehicle. When in reality, I mean, if you drive your electric vehicle like a nut job, you will wear it down quicker than just like a gas-powered car would, because you're going through more cycles in the battery because you're driving it more inefficiently. So now, if you want to watch me do a video comparing the cost between a Porsche Macan and a Tesla Model Y and what it costs per mile on a road trip, click that video right there. I think you'll enjoy it, but you might not.